Hello guys, Tops here. Today I want to talk about the topic of early to mid-game companies. It was a request. And so now, how does a early to mid-game company look like? We are at day 27. So, yeah, kind of early. And there are two concepts that I think both are viable to a certain degree. The one concept is you take only like up to 7 bros and you don't scale your company as much because the game scales with you. So the contracts that you get, they will check the levels of your bros, but also how many bros do you have, right? And I think if you have 7 bros or less, the game tends to scale down the company. The other concept is I just go to 12 bros as fast as possible, and then I have the numbers advantage. And like a handful of Brigand Raiders are no problem if you have like 12 bros. But if you have only 7 bros and you fight like 4 Brigand Raiders, that's a super hard fight. Yeah, again, I think you can kind of understand this concept. So, and I think both have the ups and downsides. Like, if you have 7 brothers, you have to be very deliberate and careful with your fights, because you get surrounded very easily, and for every surround, your opponent gets +5 hit chance, and for every opponent that you surround, you get +5% hit chance as well. So if I have 12 bros, it is really easy to just swarm one Brigand Raider with like 3 or 4 guys, throw a net at him, and then start stabbing him with knives, puncturing to get his armor. So that stuff is really, really easy to surround him and step on the tile so they might break in morale. Like all of these basic fighting concepts are very easy if you have a lot of bros, because there is power in numbers, right? If you have like a full 12-man company, even if they're all like low level, like level 1s, 3s, 4s, like super low level, you just have the opportunity to surround a Brigand Raider with 3 bros, so you get +10% hit chance against that Brigand Raider, right? And you throw a net on top of him, so now he has negative melee skill, negative defense, so he's gonna be very easy to just overwhelm. And you really can't do that if you have only 7 bros. If you have only 7 bros, you're kind of always in more or less in a defensive position, right? Yeah. So these are kind of the concepts of like scaling up fast or scaling up slow. Again, both have pros and cons. I should probably make more in-depth videos about this in the future. Probably I have already talked about this in previous videos. Anyways, company composition. So generally speaking, you want to get Brigand Raider gear. So the Brigand Raiders are kind of like the early game opponents, thugs and raiders. And by puncturing ignores 100% of armor and goes straight to hit points. So surrounding an opponent to get positive hit chance, additional hit chance against him, and then try to puncture him to get the Brigand Raider armor is kind of the way to get good gear, right? Really important. And if you can kit out your brothers in like Brigand Raider gear, that's kind of like the early mid game. You have like Brigand Raider equipment for almost all of your brothers. Again, you want to have knives as backpack weapons, maybe even as primary weapons, as on as many bros as possible. Definitely as a back weapon. As you can see, almost all of my bros have knives in their backpack. Okay. Then we have the Frontline bros. And generally speaking, for the Frontline bros, I like to recruit bros that have a lot of hit points. Stuff like farmhands, butchers are decent. Stuff that has already a lot of hit points, so as soon as they level up, I can just give them Colossus, like this Farmans for instance, and you instantly go to like a really high hit point pool. And having a lot of hit points means you're less likely to be injured and you can take a lot of hits, even from stuff like Brigand Raiders. And especially the Brigand Raiders have Executioners, so as soon as you are injured, you're basically dead. Because the Brigand Raiders do plus 20% additional damage to you. That's bad news. That's bad news. So Frontline, you want to have high hit points. Also like stuff like high fatigue, high resolve, and of course high defense is nice. Thieves, for instance, make great frontliners and early tanks because you have high defense, right? They come with up to 13 melee defense. As you can see, like I have a level 5 thief. This guy could basically frontline and kind of tank. Yeah. Hiring highborns like nomads who can have also high defense. They make up for excellent tanks as well. So generally your front line will be, or you want to have your front line of shields, spears and swords. Shields, they give you additional melee defense and you have the option of shield wall, which gives you even more melee defense. And then you want to have spears, because spears have additional hit chance, and for pros who have like a really low melee skill, additional hit chance is everything. And you get the additional opportunity of having the spear wall action, which kind of defends yourself, right? You can just put him here, spear wall, and then the AI either runs into him and you get free attacks from the spear wall, or the AI runs around you and you kind of get an additional turn to deal with your opponents. So that's kind of your front line. Your front line is for the whole purpose just delaying your opponent tanking, so to speak, so that your backline can do damage. That's the whole concept, and that's why I like to have so many bros, because like if I fight 6 Brigand Raiders, they're not gonna flank me. If I have like 7 guys in the front and like 5 guys in the back, or 6 guys or whatever, right? You get the idea. It is really hard to flank me if I'm outnumbering them. On the other hand, if I am outnumbered, it's pretty easy that I get flanked. So I need to have really strong anchor bros that can defend one flank even against multiple opponents. Because of the additional hit chance that you get from surrounding, which gets negated by underdog, it is really difficult to have these kind of brothers who can hold a flank, like the lone wolf for instance. This guy can hold a flank by himself, but that's pretty rare to have this early on. But if you have a brother like the lone wolf, you can kind of send him versus 3 Brigand Raiders, or if he has underdog and like some defensive perks, he's like level 7, has some attack, some defense, he will probably be fine versus 3 Brigand Raiders. But my level 3 guy, he will not be fine. He will die pretty soon versus them. So that's why I like, and another reason why I like to have a lot of bros. Okay, coming to the backline. You want to have pole weapons, because again, pole weapons have additional chance to hit, and they do, comparatively to your swords and spears that you have with the shield, they do relatively high damage. As you can see, like the spear does 25 to 30 damage. If I don't use a spear, a shield, I get a double grip bonus because I have my offhand free. So I would get plus 25% damage, so 31 to 37 damage. But that's rare. Like your front line, you kind of want to have a shield for additional defense, so your front line brothers don't die. And you, in this setup, you kind of rely on your backliners to do damage. So the brothers that have high melee attack, but relatively low defense or low hit points, are usually these bros that you want to keep in the back. Also, you want to keep in the back the guys that you really want to not die and you want to level up safely, because they are designed, these are kind of the bros you want to keep, right? The keepers you want to keep in the backline, so they are not at risk of dying. Like these frontliners, they die all the time, man. These guys, like, some of them reach like level 3, 4, 5 and then they die. These guys are generally not designed to be with your late game company. They are just here to survive. And that's why I give them defensive perks like Colossus, 9 life, Gifted, stuff like Dodge, Fortified Mind, even stuff like Fast Salutation for more hit chance. All this stuff is great. Shield mastery, so they get more defense from shields. They are just here to delay your opponents, so your backliners can do the killing. They're also pretty nice if you outnumber your opponent to just surround your opponent and then just shield wall and stab them, while your pikes are basically poking them and killing them. Because like this pike, like 60 to 80 damage, that is gonna kill a Brigand Raider in 2 hits. If they don't have head armor, you can even one-shot them with a pike. That's pretty nice. Again, plus 10% hit chance. So pikes with additional hit chance, or this pitchfork for instance. Here we have a hooked blade, has also plus 5 chance to hit and plus 5 chance to hit head. So these kind of weapons, which are carried by thugs and Brigand Raiders, are kind of like the early game damage weapons. And if you kind of get hold of like slings, throwing weapons, maybe even like early bows or crossbows, right? If you combine that with fast adaptation, so you get plus 10% hit chance if you miss, and then you take like the bros who have like the highest possible range defense that you have in your team, like the bros who have like, again, like bad defense or bad hit points, you can just give them one of your ranged weapons. If they have decent range skill, give them fast adaptation and put them in the backline so they can throw stuff at you. Also, these kind of bros were like early range bros. I like to go for stuff like fast adaptation, again for additional hit chance, and then for stuff like executioner, so you actually do more damage if you injure an opponent. Especially if you don't plan on keeping these guys, like you can just go, you know, for the meme, stuff like Crippling Strikes, Executioner, just to get the edge in these hard fights. And if you get hit, you're most likely gonna die. But again, those bros, all of them, except for your specially designed bros, or for your special bros that you have found, all of these bros will not survive late game. They will all die. They could die in the next battle, so I don't really care to take perks that are maybe a little bit memey. So for instance, this Deserter has like, yeah, pretty good melee attack already. And on level 1, I just took Crippling Strikes. So on level 2, I will just take Executioner, and then I have like a huge guy. He does plus 10% melee damage, who can Crippling Strikes Executioner. So I have, and then the next one is Backstabber for additional hit chance. So then I have a huge, yeah, a guy who is like bad defense, but good damage output. As you can see, this guy's not suitable for Frontline. He has like super low resolve, low hit points, terrible defense because of the huge trait. So he's also faint-hearted. Like, I can't put this guy in the Frontline. He's just gonna die. Like, yeah. By the way, it's relatively important to stay close together because of the resolve thing. It's also, for that reason, not too bad to go for stuff like Fortified Mind to increase resolve to a level that you don't drop too much, because for every opponent that is adjacent to you, you get -3 resolve, and for every brother that is adjacent to you, you get +3 resolve. So this guy, for instance, he has like 3 brothers adjacent to him. He would get +9 resolve, my lone wolf. Like in an actual fight. That's pretty good, man. So also if I surround an enemy with like 3 bros, he gets -9 resolve. So makes him more likely to drop a moral check or flee. And then I can surround and knife him down, get this nice armor. So I really like to have a lot of bros. And then I kind of, you know, in the early game, you know, I take whatever and see what kind of sticks. And then like in the mid game, like these bros who kind of get to like higher levels, like they maybe get like to level 5 or level 6, even if they have like not good traits and not good stats, just having levels makes them valuable. So so this guy might stick around to the mid game. Actually, maybe he gets to like level 6 or something, right? He's most likely, level 7 is kind of the magic mark where you get to like Nimble or Battleforge. So your major defensive perks, and after that you get to the like level 8s, you get to the major offensive perks, like stuff like Berserk, Fearsome, Duelist, Killing Frenzy, Headhunter, like the big damage perks would significantly increase the output of a brother. So if you somehow makes it to level 7, I might keep him, right? I might honestly just keep him. He will be sacrificed before late game, but like it's always nice if you reach Nimble to have just a couple Nimble guys who can tank kids and can be sacrificed in hard fights. Because that's another thing, you want to sacrifice brothers in order to get progress. So if you have a very hard fight in front of you, but the fight is very rewarding. So like you have a big brigand camp, and you know it's a 3-star contract, so you get like 2,000 gold, and you get all the loot from the camp, probably a lot of nice weapons from the brigands. It might be worth it to sacrifice a couple of brothers in order to get the loot, the money, and then you can buy better bros. Might even be able to gamble on a hedge knight, who knows, right? All of that stuff is kind of like what you do early and mid to get to a decent company level, right? And always give your keepers, like the guys who are designed for the late game, give them the best equipment that you have. Like make sure they don't die, right? So increase their hit points with Colossus. If you want to feel safe, take 9 lives, give them good armor, put them in a safe position, and really important, name them, right? So you don't forget. You don't forget that this is the guy you want to keep, and you don't want to put him into a compromised position where he is very likely to die like all of your other garbage bros. Because like I don't care if this guy dies, right? I just put him here. If he dies, he dies. But if I put him here, I want to keep him, man. Then if he dies, it's pretty bad. So you want to avoid that. An accident happens, right? You accidentally kill off your good brothers. Yeah, it is what it is. Battle Brothers is a brutal game. It's a brutal game. Yeah. Oh, dude, I don't know. I have no script for this, guys. As you probably already noticed, it comes from a lot of experience in the game. I would say like the whole game is kind of like you get just better at the game, better at figuring out what kind of builds to build, for what kind of brothers to search, for what kind of fights to search, right? And I made a lot of videos about this, and like about every topic, I think. So far you can find it on my channel. I hope there are things that will help you out, and if you have questions, write it down in the comments. Yeah, that's kind of like the early mid-game setup. Have like frontline that is relatively tanky, and the backline that starts to do damage with like pikes, throwing weapons, crossbows, bows, and then like spears, shields, and swords in the front, and hope for the best. Until you, like I would say, until you get like 25 defense or something, and like decent armor and hit points, having a brother which just without a shield in the front line is pretty risky, right? Like my lone wolf can do this, but this guy gets hit a lot, and if you do not have the armor to sustain that, you will lose bros. Yeah, especially as soon as you start to play versus ranged enemies like archers and crossbows. If you don't have shield bros in the front, you're gonna lose somebody. So be mindful about that. Positioning like a tank with a kite shield in the center of the formation might be a good idea to soak up all the arrows, because the AI tends to like to shoot at the center of your formation, and having like a bait bro with a kite shield is a nice idea. Yeah, I think this is like a good example how my early brothers look like, and I think the trick is to just keep playing, and I encourage you to play on expert difficulty for combat at least, and then try to reload if stuff goes wrong, and try to get better at stuff, right? Better at fights. And like naturally, again, you wanna You want to lose bros in order to get progress. So if you have a big brigand fight and you get like thousands of gold and a bunch of good equipment, like sacrificing a couple of low-level brothers is not a problem. As long as your good bros survive. And every time like one of your garbage bros dies, you just recruit new ones. That's another thing. Like always gamble on the cheap backgrounds and find the good bros who have like good trades or good stars at the right places, and then you're gonna be fine. Like as you can see, there are when every time a door closes, another door opens. Or if you lose a brother, you will find another good brother. Wow. I think this is a good way to end the video. I hope this is somehow useful, especially for you guys who are newer to the game. And yeah, feel free to ask the questions in the comments. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you guys in the next video. Have a nice day. Bye bye.